check. The Board of Commissioners meeting is, well, what would you say, kind of dreary, overcast,
Better than yesterday.
Wednesday, November the 19th. We are quickly coming to the end of the year, right? I mean, once you get past Thanksgiving, you're going to be right on top of Christmas. Prior to starting our meeting, we always ask for local clergy to come and lead us in prayer. And we have our number one trooper here today, Rex Sherlocky. Um, Gail had already informed me. She was like, David, I don't have a minister for today. So she came over and she said it was a miracle. Rex just walked right through. So, glad to have you here. And would you please give us a prayer?
Very much. I might say have a blessed holiday. I think this is my last one for the year. So everybody have a blessed holiday. And as they're coming, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we pray for our county commissioners, county staff employees, trustees, mayors, police officers, EMTs, firefighters, school boards, business leaders, and all the organizations that are represented here today. We pray that you will reveal yourself to us and bring us closer to you in each of our own unique ways, that we will hear your voice clearly and distinctly, so this county continues in your favor. Speak to us in truth, integrity, justice, and fairness. May we continue to have good and lofty aspirations, as was done when we ran for office or when we were appointed to our current positions in the first place, to help others, to right wrongs, and to make Clermont County a more beautiful place. We pray for financial blessings on our community. Heavenly Father, if there are any grants that have been applied for, we ask for your favor. The revenues that are not a burden to the people, we pray that they will increase. And there would be miracle blessings come in unexpected ways so that we will see that it was you who provided. We are expecting a financial overflow so the residents will be blessed. Give each one of us strength to reach out and to work together. We boldly pray that you will bind our hearts together in ways that we could have never imagined. Let us declare, as King David did in Psalm 133:1, how good and how pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Jesus, we believe what you said. What is impossible with man is possible with God. Bless our life-giving churches and raise the spiritual level of our community so that everyone has that opportunity to know and to follow Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And we pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
And now to officially start our meeting, we always start with the pledge of allegiance. Commissioner Patrick, would you lead us in pledge?
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks for being here this morning. We have a regular agenda prepared. The call to order has been made, and we will move with letter B. Letter B is approval of regular session minutes of 11/12/2025. Board, you've had these minutes early, had the opportunity to review them. Are there any needed changes or revisions?
None.
Then I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve. Second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Payne?
Yes. Letter C is a presentation by Stephanie Ross, Administrator of Clermont County Prosecutor's Office, History of the Advocate Program. Stephanie, come up and tell the folks who you are. And also, just before you start, I would just say our prosecutor is here today. Mark DeCalvey, would you stand up? Thanks for being here this morning, sir. You bet. It's always good to have other elected officials in the room, just in case somebody blames one of us. Thank you. Stephanie, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Stephanie Ross. I am the administrator for the prosecutor's office. I also oversee our VOCA and SBA grant. We are here later in the agenda for the acceptance of this year's grant. So I thought it would be a good time to come in and do some brief communication. It's been a while since we had just been able to present with the commissioners some information about the program. So I'll keep this brief. VOCA is Victims of Crime Act 1984, SBAA also 1984. The first VOCA grant award was received in 1986 by our office. So this is the 40th year of funding that we have received. That grant was applied for by the Honorable Judge Shriver. So, thankful that he was able to start that 4 years ago, because it's some good work that we're still continuing to do here. So what does our program consist of? We have 4 victim advocates in our program now. We have 2 of them that are assigned to our common police court, which is our felony division. And then we have 2 advocates that are assigned in our municipal and our juvenile courts. They do share those responsibilities. And then I am the program director. My main duties are just the grant writing and to supervise the program. So the credentials for being a victim advocate is a 2-year college degree in a related field or similar work experience. We do ask that people our advocates become a registered advocate within 2 years. It is through the state of Ohio, through the Ohio Victim Witness Association. What this does, it establishes professional standards, encourages specialized training and continuing education, and requires advocates to achieve a defined level of direct service experience. This does include a certain amount of hours worked and training hour requirements. So the credentialed advocate is also encouraged. This is a nationwide standard through the National Organization for Victim Assistance. It also establishes credibility. It helps to advance the field of victim advocacy, and then it does enhance professional recognition and mobility within the field. We have 2 advocates that are advocates, and I think 3 right now that are RAs in the state of Ohio, but our staff is fairly young. So a couple other things that our advocates do that we encourage is becoming safe at home application assistance. That is through the Secretary of State's office. Safe at Home is a confidential program for survivors of domestic violence, stalking, human trafficking, rape, or sexual battery. What it does, it provides a substitute address for them, usually a PO box that they can use for many different things. So people, their abusers cannot find them. The application assistance, we are certified through the Ohio Secretary of State. And then the crisis response team, which is also certified through NOVA. We have advocates that received 24 hours of crisis management training. We have 3 advocates that are crisis response trained. We have 1 that is trained on an advanced level. So just some numbers I wanted to briefly give you for our last grant year that we just ended. This would be October 1st through September 30th, 2024, 2025. So we served in that time period. What I want you to realize, these are victims that we serve. These are not necessarily numbers for the prosecutor's office. There are a lot of crimes where there are victimless crimes. So these are just crimes that have a victimization attached to them. So we served 1,721 new individuals during this crime period. Some things of note: 802 of them were female, 535 of them were male, 384 were not reported. We try to get that information the best we can, but it's a self-reporting victimization. So the age of the people that we serve, 109 under 18, 158 the 18 to 24. The biggest group that we have is at 25 to 59, 826, and then 196 over 60 years old. So these are just some numbers of the victimizations. Most of the victimizations that we serve, you can see by looking at these numbers, are domestic violence at 386 victims, and the theft financial crime, which is 328 victims. But if you look at them, I mean, there's still some pretty sobering numbers there, with the adult sexual assaults, child physical abuse, child pornography. I mean, there's a lot of very important numbers there. So we count all of these stats through the Department of Justice. We use our case management system, Matrix Prosecutor, to count every service that our advocates provide. So the Department of Justice breaks it down to different categories. So in the information referrals that our office does provide, we served 1,987 victims. So of those victims, the advocates provided 22,560 services. And that's quite a large number for 4 advocates, 4.5, So what this includes is providing information about the criminal justice system and the process, Marcy's Law information, victims' rights information, which is very important nowadays once with the law update in 2023. How to obtain notifications of hearings and referrals to other victim service programs, services, supports, and other resources locally and throughout the state of Ohio. So personal advocacy, there was 47 victims that we served in this category, 266 services. This includes referring to, addressing the immediate needs of the practical problems that someone might be having as a result of the crime. Attending emergency medical care, law enforcement intervention with work, school. That's something that we do a lot of because people have to miss work when they have to come to court and other things that happen. Transportation assistance. We do provide transportation to victims because that becomes a barrier in attending court hearings to obtain protection orders and preliminary hearings and things of that nature. And then we do assist with interpreter services. So emotional support, 457 victims, so 1,710 services. This includes crisis intervention and on-scene crisis response when requested. And this can occur, at the scene, immediately after a crime, at the first in-person contact, at the police station or at the prosecutor's office. So we are meeting a lot of these people, especially at our municipal court level, less than 24 hours after a crime has occurred. And then the criminal civil justice system assistance. There are 1,555 victims with 16,683 services. This does include the notification of criminal justice events, all court hearings, victim impact statement assistance. Our advocates will help with that. Assistance with restitution, civil and criminal protection order referrals, prosecutor interview advocacy. We sit with victims when the prosecutor are interviewing them for trial or preparation for grand jury, law enforcement interview advocacy, and then just basic criminal advocacy that they do. And then there's our contact information. And that's just a brief overview of what we did for the past year.
Stephanie, I'm sorry, you want to go?
Go ahead.
Stephanie, just in simple words, I mean, victims don't, they don't get to choose to be, part of the law system and those kind of things. Would it be appropriate to say that, having a victim's advocate, means everything to some of these victims, and that, having someone that can advocate for them and kind of walk them through that system?
I think it does. Over the years, many people do not know that we exist, but I usually tell them, I tell people in the past, that's probably a good thing. You don't know our program exists, but I think that it has been found, beneficial for a lot of the people we work with. Not everyone wants our help. Not everyone is ready to make their way through the criminal justice experience, system, depending on the type of crime or the type of victimization that they are going through. But I think one thing people to realize is that even though you may not need us this time, we'll always be there. You can call us at any time, and even if you're not ready now, like in a domestic violence to leave, if you're ready next week or next year, that's my call.
Thank you, board. Any other questions?
Good work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. And before I move on, I missed one of our elected officials. Katie Terpstra is here today. Judge Terpstra, thanks for being here. You bet. We had another presentation from Emily Akers. We're going to move that down below additions to the agenda. So we will move to public participation. Is there anyone here today that would like to participate in the public? Just one. Let me read the standard statement there and come on up to the podium. We've reached public participation. At this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in debate. However, the board is free to ask questions if you'd like. No member of the public may comment about a matter that's not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibility. We're not expected to comment on matters brought to the board at this time. Each speaker have to ask permission from the president to go to the podium. You've already had that. In accordance with the board's rules, you'll have 5 minutes to make comments. Tell us who you are and where you live.
My name is Dan Day. I reside at 4354 Ironton Road, Williamsburg, Ohio, 45176. the opening prayer statement, as the Reverend said about you guys are supposed to right wrongs as part of the job, which kind of relates to what I'm going to read here. Anyway, this is my fourth time speaking at the public forum of the Commissioners' meeting. The last time I spoke was about 5 weeks ago to inquire as to why the promised meeting by Commissioner Painter and Commissioner Corcoran to meet with Prosecutor DeCalby never transpired in a timely manner. I was patient and waited approximately 2 months with no response from anyone at the Commissioner's office. During my third public speaking at the Commissioners' meeting, the Commissioners did set up a meeting with 2 assistant prosecutors after the meeting with Heath Wilson in attendance by coincidence, and nothing was resolved as the prosecutors only listened, did not participate with any questions for myself or Heath Wilson. The only thing that was said that had any merit was that Heath Wilson stated that Greg Nichols did have a WMSC permit when he actually did not. The following day, after him stating that a WMSC permit was in place, I did a record request for the permit, and there was, in fact, no permit in place, as Heath Wilson stated. I am here today because Clermont County has a program called Clermont Cares created by the Board of County Commissioners based on the complaint form being titled as such. I filled out the complaint form, sometimes referred to as concerns form, on 10/15/25, sent it certified mail. The letter was signed by Vernon Capser on 10/20/25. Clermont Cares states in its own written rules it will be addressed by the Board of County Commissioners and should have a response in writing 10 days upon the receipt of the complaint. It says response to CARES will be sent directly to the citizen who submitted it to the county commissioners. And the commissioner staff will follow up and ensure the CARES will be addressed in a timely manner and that not all issues are resolved within 7 to 10 days, but a response will be provided in that time frame. It's been 4 weeks since the letter was sent and absolutely no contact to address the concerns that were outlined in the commissioner's own commissioner's concern form. I don't know this to be a true fact, but the time that has passed, not just 10 days, but actually weeks, leads me to believe there would never be a response to the concerns form I sent in, just as there was no response to the formal in-writing request to Prosecutor DeCalby months ago. It is my understanding our elected officials are in their elected positions to support the people they serve by making sure that the written regulations of Clermont County are followed. County commissioners are accountable to the citizens of the county and must operate within the framework of state law. And when an injustice as to the building department not enforcing WMSC as the county and state law says they must do and is witnessed, made aware they must do something about it. The fact that a permit was issued under clandestine circumstances does not circumvent the damages that occurred to my property and the East Fork River. There was no resolution to correct the damages that are still ongoing. How does an individual citizen of the county that has been ignored by our elected officials while witnessing an injustice and not enforcing their own written county rules and the law of the state? Just to bring to attention what John McManus stated in his email that erosion was still occurring. And the pictures that I sent to the CARES complaint showed this ongoing erosion and sediment entering my property. In closing, I would like to say, based on my concerns appearing to be ignored by the commissioners because of their own inaction and the inaction of the Clermont Building Department, this is establishing a record of events that are not in the best interest of myself or the county commissioners. And that's kind of where we stand. And, you got a program that you guys established, and you're not following your own program or the rules or laws or anything. And I'm at my wit's end why nothing's being done and so forth. So that's all I've got right now.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Mr. Day. We appreciate it. Anyone else in public participation? Hearing no one else, I'll close public participation. We will move on to letter E. Letter E is consent agenda. The consent agenda has been prepared for your board. You've had it early, had an opportunity to review it. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further consideration? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran. Commissioner Batchel. Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will move to the non-consent agenda.
Page 8.
Page 8, item 17. It's to recommend that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 177-25 to approve payments to vendors in the amount of $3,397,270.11 as outlined in the BCC approval invoice reports for checks dated November 19, 2025. BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 11/17/2025. And further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants pursuant to compliance with section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
Motion. Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchel. Yes. Commissioner Corcoran. Yes. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 18. Stephanie, you get to come up again.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning.
Item number 18 is Clermont County Prosecutors, a 2526 Victims of Crime, VOGA State Victim Assistance Act, SBA grant award and acceptance for the Ohio Crime Victim Assistance Funds for the continuation of the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas Municipal and Juvenile Court Advocate Program. On the recommendation to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, or in his absence, any other member of the board, to execute the 2025-2026 Victims of Crime State Victim Assistance Act Grant Award and Acceptance Forms for state grant numbers 2026 VOCA 136358204 and 2026 SVAA 136358208 as required for Ohio Crime Victim Assistance Fund from the State of Ohio Office of the Ohio Attorney General, Crime Victim Assistance and Prevention for the continuation of the advocate programs to provide and extend victim advocate services to the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas, Municipal Court, and Juvenile Court implemented by the prosecuting attorney, and the amounts listed below for the period of 10/1/25 to 9/30/26 in compliance with the terms and conditions of the grant award as outlined below. The VOCA grant, the amount of $59,630. This is 80% of the grant amount. This is funded by the Department of Justice. $14,908. This is our 20% required legal match from the 25-26 Prosecutor's Office General Fund Appropriations for a VOCA total of $74,538. And then the state victim assistance grant is $6,586. This is 100% funded by the Department of Justice for a project total of $81,104.
Thank you, Stephanie. Board, you've heard the reading of number 18. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran. Yes. Commissioner Batchel. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you. 19. Morning, Gary.
Good morning. I have a recommendation to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, or any other member of the Board of County Commissioners in his absence, to execute a grant agreement between the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, the Clermont County Juvenile Court, and the Ohio Department of Children and Youth for the reimbursement of foster care maintenance and legal representation costs relative to the Clermont County Juvenile Court's Title IV program, with the total amount to be reimbursed not to exceed $600,000 for state fiscal years 26 and 27, effective July 1st, 25 through June 30th, 2027, in compliance with the terms and conditions of the grant agreement.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchel. Yes. Commissioner Corcoran. Yes. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Item number 20.
Dottie.
Dottie Meier from the Department of Job and Family Services. Item 20 is the recommendation to adopt a revised table of organization for the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services as outlined in the below chart and an Exhibit A that is attached to the paperwork that the commissioners have. The changes are requiring no general fund contributions and it's effective upon approval. This is for the addition of 3 clerical specialists to our table of organization. Each one of the clerical specialists will have one assigned to the intake, one assigned to ongoing, and one that will be shared between the foster unit and the adoptions unit that will help with our continued efforts of improving quality and quantity of work in those departments. In addition to that, we're asking to add 3 project interns that are paid positions. These will be fully funded by funding that comes from the state that will be used to fund these these paid interns. They're fellowship students that are from non-traditional social work programs such as criminal justice, psychology, sociology, that we're giving them an opportunity to work in the field of Department of Job and Family Services, Children's Services specifically, hopefully entice them to come work in the field. And then the other 3 positions would be an unpaid part-time. These are for interns that are through our UPP program, which are students who are in social work programs who are given the opportunity to have a field placement with our social services departments. And just so the court knows, this has been a very successful program for us in the past. And a couple of our workers that we've hired in the past year are former UPP students. So it's working the way that it's supposed to.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 20. I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran. Yes. Commissioner Batchelor. Yes. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 21.
Item number 21 is a recommendation to authorize myself, Dorothy Meier, the Director of Job and Family Services, to execute a letter of support for the Talbert House grant proposal that's for the Responsible Fatherhood Initiative. It's the Strong Fathers, Strong Families Grant Proposal Program for funding available through the Ohio Department of Children's and Youth Services. This request by Talbert House for us to give them a letter of support for their application for the grant funding. This is a program that we do utilize for fathers right now that are in residential placements to try to have them be prepared and gain the resources and also the skills needed to improve after they've left the program. But this is also for expanding that and reaching out to fathers in Clermont County for this program in addition to the ones in residential.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 21. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran. Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dr. Item number 22.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Item 22 is a recommendation to execute a contract for services between the Board of County Commissioners and Harsney and Associates, LLC, 3870 Lindsay Road, Lexington, Ohio, to provide professional services for the Home Investment Partnerships home-funded housing development, also known as Veterans Village, in accordance with the scope of services identified in the attached Exhibit A for a total amount not to exceed $90,000 in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So these are new funds for us, the home funds. This is our first project. So this consultant will help us over about 3 years to ensure that we can follow all the mandates and regulations from HUD for this project.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 22. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Desmond, I know for a long time, this was not pursued. Home investment was not pursued in Clermont County. Can you just kind of tell us why now and you know what's in it?
HUD didn't actually qualify us. I think CDBG started in 2015 once we met the 200,000 population threshold. And there's other factors, I think probably increase in population, maybe some low-income numbers. So in 2023 was the first year that HUD actually said we could pursue these.
Participate.
And so we did.
Thank
And
you.
this will be for affordable housing projects. Yeah.
That'd be great. Board, any other comments? Roll call again.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thanks, Desmond. Item number 23. Andy?
Morning.
Morning.
Andy Mays, CTC. Recommendation to adopt resolution 178-25, resolving to authorize Thomas J. Igle, County Administrator, to execute state fiscal year 2026 UTP and UTP bonus grant contract TUTP-4067-GRF-261 between the Clermont County Board of Commissioners and the State of Ohio Department of Transportation, Columbus, Ohio, in the amount of $302,022 for the operating expenses from the state fiscal year 2026 urban transit program.
Board, you heard the reading of item number 23. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thanks, Andy. Item number 24. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Teresa Igo, benefits for Clermont County employees. Recommendation to authorize Bonnie J. Batchelor, Vice President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the application and proposal along with the attached rider for vision care benefits with IMED Vision Care, underwritten by Fidelity Security Life Insurance Company, 3130 Broadway, Kansas City, Missouri, 64111, relative to the provision of fully insured 2026 vision care insurance benefits for eligible Clermont County employees and their dependents in accordance with the rates scheduled attached, effective for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st or 2029, with a 4-year rate guarantee through December 31st, 2029, and contingent upon adoption of the annual appropriation for fiscal year 2026 and the release of the required purchase order.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 24. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Abstain. Thank you. Item number 25. Tim Meier, good to see you this morning.
Good morning. My name is Tim Meier with the Clermont County Water Resources Department. Item number 20. Oh, this is number 26. I'm sorry.
It is item 26. Sorry about that.
25.
Yeah, they had it down as 25, but
Okay.
It
Uh,
is 25.
It is 25.
mhm.
It's 25.
Okay.
All in favor
Okay.
of 25? Say aye.
Recommendation to award the bid and execute the contract for furnishing and delivery of chemicals for the Clermont County Waterworks system pursuant to the specifications, therefore, to the following vendors as the lowest and best bid received on October 2nd, 2025, as outlined, for a total estimated annual amount of $905,735.75, effective January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, and in compliance with the terms and conditions and contingent upon the adoption of the annual appropriations for year 2026 and the release of the required purchase order. Univar Solutions for item number 1, aluminum sulfate, $288,450. Brentag Mid-South for items 2, 3A, 3B for chlorine, $146,520. Bonded chemicals for items 4A, 4B, 4C for hydrofluorosilicic acid, $60,652.95. Items 5A, 5B, 5C caustic soda for $335,263.80. Item 6, potassium permanganate for $62,843. Polydyne Incorporated for polymer, item number 7, $12,006.
Thank you, Tim. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 25. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran. Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Tim, did we have it off on your sheet? Was it?
Yeah, on my sheet it says 26, but that's fine.
Got it. Got it. On ours, it's 25. Thank you.
We're all like 25, 26. Okay.
Right. It doesn't matter. Item number 26. Thank you.
Good morning.
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 Jamie Tanner, Office of Management and Budget. Item number 26 is a recommendation to rescind financial actions from the November 12th, 2025 regular session relating to changes in the annual appropriation in resolution number 151-24 for calendar year 2025, including the legal level of control and/or interfund transactions, and to authorize Linda L. Fraley, County Auditor, to void their records as outlined below. Just 3 reimbursements. Children's Services Public Assistance, $713,962.81. Child Support Enforcement, $138,772.85. And Workforce Development from Public Assistance, $29,533.27.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 26. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. Second.
It's been moved and it's second. Jamie, before you get off of here, whenever we have something that says we're going to void some records, what was, just for the public, what was the actual challenge that?
Of course,
parties-
yeah. The first reimbursement for $713,000, that was put on the agenda for reimbursement, but there wasn't enough budget available for that. So we rescinded that. And then you'll see on today's agenda, there's a supplemental to cover it for the following session.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 27.
This is a recommendation to resolve to approve and authorize financial and budgetary actions pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 5705.40, relating to changes in the annual appropriation in Resolution 151-24. This is essentially putting back on 2 of those reimbursements. So child support enforcement to public assistance, $138,772.85. And workforce development to public assistance, $29,533.27.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 27. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 28.
Item number 28 is a recommendation to resolve to approve and authorize changes in the annual appropriation, resolution number 151-24 for calendar year 2025. These are all supplemental appropriations. Water revenue, $52,000 for regular salary. Sewer revenue, $10,000 for bargaining unit salary. Sewer revenue, $5,000 for fringe benefits. Water and sewer combined, $5,000 for regular salary. Water and sewer combined, $20,000 for bargaining unit salary. Water and sewer combined services, $5,000 for fringe benefits. Sheriff Road Patrol, this is a retirement payout, $50,654.15. The Board of Elections overtime, $8,000. And Children's Services or other expenses, $1,090,533.91 for placement costs.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 28 for appropriations. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversations? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. That concludes our non-consent agenda. Tom, are there any additions at this time? Hearing no additions, I'm going to go back up and ask Emily Akers, Controller, Clermont County Office of Budget Management, for an initial 2026 budget presentation. Glad to have you here this morning. Emily, before you get started, I understand that there's going to be 3 of these presentations. Is that correct? Is that how we're going to do it?
That's the plan as of right now. So today is going to be a lot of information. We're touching over every single 99 funds, a big summary of it. There'll be some decisions for the board to make. I'll come back, I think it's December 1st on a Monday after Thanksgiving, the next session. We'll give an update of any changes, any more direction from the board, and then we're planning to adopt, I think it's December 10th.
Is that correct?
And I'll give one final update before adoption on the 10th.
And just as a general overview before we get started, basically the Office of Budget Management goes out and obviously talks to the different departments, finds out what their monetary needs are. They bring a presentation forward that basically where they can go out and take a look at out year funds and what hasn't been used and kind of pull that back so that we kind of see it. A list is made as to additional funding that might be provided that the commissioners might choose to extract from that report and put on here. And then each one of these presentations is for the elected officials in their current offices, if they have a particular need, to come to this meeting and present that need. You know, there's nothing nefarious being done here. We try to share this information with everyone. We want to make sure that you get the information and you know what a budget in Clermont County looks like. And if basically an elected official or one of the departments sees that we're not funding something that they really need, they need to show up in one of these 3 meetings and present their case. Is that
Sounds about right.
pretty close?
Yes. Administration, we met with almost every single elected official in every single department, reviewed their requests. We start with 25's budget and really look for anything that additional needs, or if there's something that isn't needed anymore, to pull it away. And I sum all these up, present them to the commissioners, and here we are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before I get started, this is a lot of information. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly, as why I try to cover as much as possible. Please stop me at any time if you have questions, anything like that. I have discussed.
And if anyone is in attendance, I mean, this is really exciting information, and I know you'll want to know it, but you know, if you have other things that you need to do here to run our county and we see you slip out, we're okay. Just don't walk away if there's some reason you're going to come back and want some more budget in this particular budget year. You know, if you do that, well then, you know, we take it that everything's good. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have discussed this draft with each of the commissioners individually. We've showed them all the requests from all the departments, and we have passed on any information that elected officials have. Go ahead. So this appropriation covers the county's general fund and all the other funds under the budgetary control of the Board of County Commissioners. So in 26, there are currently 99 funds with expenses. We are going to focus mainly on the general fund, which is the largest discretionary fund of the commissioners. We will touch on all other 98 funds. So the general fund includes recurring costs that support the ongoing operations of the departments, which is our operating funds. The general fund also funds 20 of the 21 elected officials in the majority of their operations. By law, the county's appropriation must budget. So the appropriated expenditure level for each fund cannot exceed the projected available resources. So we cannot budget for more cash and anticipated revenue. So you know you have enough money to pay what we budget. So we're going to look first at the general fund. This is my main focus. So let's start off with the revenues. The 2025 revised estimate is not the original budget. I just wanted to update it to where we're really going to come in at with most of these. First is our property taxes. The 13.162 million is what the county did bring in. Notice 24 is where we had the large increase. It was 28% over 23, and that was with the triennial update. We're only anticipating like a 0.5 increase over the 25 actuals for next year. So sales tax, this is our largest contributing factor to the growth of the operating revenues for next year. Our budget for 25 was, let's see, 3.7 million, and we still have December's payment to go. So we're going to come in probably right over $41 million. However, I just do want to say in 24, we came in below budget. So we held the budget flat for 25. Now we're exceeding it, and I'm putting a 2% growth on top of the 25 actual into 26. License and permits, they're essentially from the building department. This just shows the continued growth that's going on in development in the county. Intergovernmental, these makes up casino revenues is a large part. It's over $3 million. Indigent defense reimbursement at $3 million. We also have the local government funds in there at 1.7, and then the homestead rollback, which is just under 1.7 million that comes in from the state. The charges for services. So this includes 5.2 million of property related transactions. So we have the conveyance fees in there, which is about $4.5 million, and then also the recorder fees. This also includes indirect costs. Those are some of the general fund expenses that we were able to recoup from other funds. There are tax settlement fees in here, court fees in here. This next one, investment income. So our budget for 25 was $6 million. My revised estimate is $7 million. However, I get the estimate for 26 comes from the treasurer, who we get from our investment advisor. We are actually going to bring in about $8 million in investment income. The problem is, in 3 years from now, that is anticipated to drop back down below $6 million. So we are going to hold the budget at $6 million, and anything above and beyond that is going to be set aside for non-operating or one-time cost, due to the fact if we would increase that operating budget $2 million, 2 years from now, we are going to have to pull $2 million of expenses back out of the budget, and we don't want to have to do that. If you recall, I think back in 21, we only had $1 million of investment income. So we're going to hold it flat at $6 million. See, fines is directly from the court for traffic fines. And then other revenues includes the clerk of the courts declares a title fund surplus of $500,000. And then there's some reimbursements for allocations of insurance costs and lease revenues. So in the past 5 years, which you can't see on here back to 21, but our operating revenue was $70.8 million, and we're estimating $88.6 million for next year. Now, this is the exact same information I just gave you, but in the pie chart form. And I just wanted you to notice that the sales tax, it is 44.6% of the general fund revenue. So we heavily rely on that. Over the past couple of years, the percentage has dropped a little bit, but that is due to the property taxes increasing as well as the investment income increasing. And you notice that property tax is the number 2 revenue that we have, that we rely on. That is the inside millage at 2.1 mils. All right, now the expense side of this. So right now in the draft, the only expenses that I am including on top of, that are requests are pretty much contractual, that these have already have contracts signed, increases going into next year, or anything else that's already been in front of the board, so it's been prorated to approve for next year. There are $2.6 million of requests that are not included in this draft, and non-bargaining salary actions are not included in this draft as well. So with our operating revenue at 88.6, and I'm showing an operating expense draft at 87.2, that only leaves $1.4 million available to cover salary actions and any other requests that are not included in this. I do want to say, if you notice in the operating from 23 to 26 draft, there is a 24% increase in the county's budgeted expenses. Again, this is looking at it in a pie chart. What is very noticeable to me in this is if you combine the criminal justice and judicial, that is 67% of the operating budget of the county. You throw in public service, and now you're at public safety, which is the 911 center, the coroner, and EMA. That is at 77% of our operating budget is public service, the courts, and criminal justice system. Oh, also, I just wanted to note this. It's not on this chart, but when you look at our expenses, the operating expenses as a whole for the county, 75% of our budget is salary related. So that'd be salary fringes, retirement payouts, things like that. So it is people that is running the county. So now I'm going to go through each area and discuss the increases that have been included and where each department is headed. So as I continue through the general fund slides, I try to highlight any increases that are from the 2025 or any requests that have been included throughout here. So the common pleas probation, their request had a slight reduction due to attrition. Let's see, juvenile detention center is in probation. They have been impacted by the changes in their reclaim grant. So we've had to move people every single year. This is happening where we're moving staff from the grant into the general fund to be paid. There were also some contractual increases included in this, which had to do with the medical for the detainees and some mental health contracts, and then increases for the alcohol monitoring, labs, drug tests, things like that. Municipal probation, they had some staff changes which impacted their fringe categories, which had a slight increase. The sheriff, this is the largest increase for the 2026 budget, which is, very large. It's 77% of the criminal justice budget in itself. That large increase is the bargaining rates that the deputies and supervisors, correction officers at the jail, this is their bargaining increases. So those have been included into the budget. Also included is the increase for the medical contract, the jail food cost, as well as the sheriff has a contract fund that there are townships and school resource officers, and actually Department of Job and Family Services contracts with the sheriff's office to have deputies or school resource officers. The county has to contribute money into that fund. We had to increase the contribution in 2026 by $328,000. That's a large portion of that increase as well. And then the miscellaneous funds, the reduction in this is due to administration is recommending $275,000 of the One Ohio Fund to help cover some of the CAS expenses at the jail. So judicial services, this includes all the courts and the clerks of the courts and the prosecutor and public defender. The prosecutor, his whole office, except for the civil, will be in general government. So the 12th Court of Appeals, this just slight increase. We just received the invoice for 2020 for this year, like last week, and it was $126,000. The common pleas clerk's operations, there is a reduction. He has moved half of his salary to be split with the title fund since he is over that as well. Municipal clerk, this budget does include an increase for postage, and then there was an employee who it was approved that his allocation changed to be, he was being paid from a computerization fund, but now he's being moved fully to the general fund. Common pleas court, in June of 25, they came in front of the commissioners and there was an increase for their staff attorney magistrates. So that now was funded out of their own funds, and now in 26 is being moved to the general fund. There's also an increase in there for their assigned counsel transcripts, appeals. Domestic, juvenile court, and probate are rather flat other than health. Municipal court, they also had the same allocation change with an employee. It was split between the court and the municipal clerk. The prosecutor, there was just a reduction for some health insurance plans, and the public defender is rather flat. So general government. The auditor, there is contractual increases with Tyler Technologies and their outside audit, as well as House Bill 96 is requiring notifications from the Budget Commission. So the Board of County Commissioners on here, this includes the commissioners, facilities management, human resources, the mailroom, OPI, planning, GIS, ISD, O&B, records, risk management, and miscellaneous non-departmental. Actually, overall, there is a decrease in this. I do want to state this year we did implement some quarterly budget meetings that we have with every single BCC department just to kind of really start picking through the budgets to make sure they're being accurately used and appropriated correctly, and if there was anywhere we could find savings, and that has resulted in a reduction. Then there's the non-departmental things that fall within the BCC, which would be tax settlement fees. There's local dollars towards Soil and Water Conservation District, the Fair Board, and OSU Extension. So the Board of Elections, they do have an increase, about $370,000 for 26. So they, odd year, even year, presidential years, it has to go with how elections are running. And so next year there is an increase for overtime, temp pay, and purchase services. The prosecutor includes increases for their Westlaw licenses to add 4 license as well as their contractual increases with Matrix and Axon Justice contracts. And then the treasurer just has some health insurance adjustments. So public safety, we have the comm center, which is our 911 Department of Public Safety. The increase here are contracts. There's several ones that had necessary increases. MFA for leads, there's net motion, P25, those are included in here. Building inspection, building permit, they took a decrease this year due to their purchase services, reevaluating them. This EMA, this only reflects the general fund contribution, which is flat, and then the coroner has a slight increase. For the Hamilton County Coroner's Office is now charging for transports as well as an increase in the county's transporter pay. The Health and Human Services. So there's some more non-departmental items in here. The main thing is complex medical help, which used to be called children with medical handicaps. We're required to budget for 0.1 mils, which is just under $700,000. DJFS mandated share is in here. There's contributions to public assistance, to children's services, family and children first funding, our apiary inspections, vital statistic registrations. Also, this is where our contribution, our general fund contribution to the dog and kennel fund goes. Currently, we are going to reduce the contribution in the dog and kennel fund for 26. They do collect fees, the dog licenses, which are on sale right now. So get your license if you need them. And then we have been funding them to support their budget for the past several years. They've made some adjustments into staffing. Now they have it where they need it. So there's been some vacancies, and we are not going to contribute cash to cover all that because they're going to end the year with a nice cash balance. And we have the TB clinic, which is a contract, and then veterans is actually, they're well within their statutory 0.5 mils. However, they took a reduction to get closer to their actual expenses that they truly spend versus what they have been budgeting. So now we'll get to the non-operating. So non-operating are items that either are one-time or the majority of them are, they have a revenue off source. So the money comes in and then it goes back out. So we consider that non-operating. Economic development, they are funded with conveyance fees that are restricted for economic development. They budgeted for 26 much more in line with what they have planned. SWORTEC, this is just the operating expenses. They were slightly reduced. Criminal justice. This includes some restricted donation expenses by the sheriff and specialized grant spending. And you can see this is where CASC, we used to have some grant funds that came in, and 23 was the last year we received grant funds for CASC. The judicial, this just stays there in case there's needs for advances when there's miscellaneous grants. Legal and executive. If you notice in 23, the general fund contributed $11.5 million into capital. So that is why that one is an outlier. And actually in 22, the general fund had put $10 million in capital. Let's see. Stormwater, that is just a pass through. It's an MOU with the Soil and Water Conservation District for management of stormwater systems. Public safety, again, that's just in there for, we have a budget in there in case they need advances on grants. And then retirement and payouts, we'll usually appropriate those as they come throughout the year. So this is the slide everybody waits for. These are decisions that the commissioners will need to make. They're pending for board consideration. As I said before, there's $1.46 million available between the anticipated revenues and the current draft appropriation. Just so everyone can keep in mind, this does not include salary action. So 1% of a salary action is just under $350,000. So you can all do the math to figure out what a 2, 3, 4 would be. So I'm going to run through these. As I said, the commissioners do have more detail on this without getting into extreme detail on everything. But so the auditor is looking for an increase on salaries, hired a clerk to cover for somebody who is anticipated to go part-time next year. Board of Elections, as I said before, we have the first one on there is they are looking for salary increases for their staff, additional salary increases, plus adding budget in there for vacation buyouts. And then earlier I had said increase their budget 307,000 for their additional temporary pay and overtime. They are what we added into the budget. They are even requesting more on top of that. Common Police Clerk has annualized 2025 salary increases included. They're looking to add a new clerk position at the courthouse office here. They want to have 2 summer interns as well as adding overtime into their budget. Common Pleas Court is looking to add salary increases to staff for retention. DPSS is looking for 2 staffing positions. They would like an assistant director as well as their own executive assistant. Domestic Relations, they have a summer intern who is hired part-time permanently that they would like to fund. And this next one would be a non-operating, even though it's in here included as the operating. They are looking, a magistrate will be retiring and they would like to do a 6-month cross-training at the end of next year to hire someone to learn some of that knowledge. Juvenile Detention is looking for additional overtime. The municipal clerk is looking for annualized salary increases, as well as overtime for the software implementation. Municipal Court Probation is requesting 2 positions, a probation officer and an administrative support staff. OSU Extension, who the county gives a general fund contribution, is wanting to increase that contribution to fund a program assistant. The prosecutor's office has annualized salary increases. They're also looking for additional salary increases, as well as increasing the hours and rates for 2 investigators. The sheriff's office is looking to increase overtime, and the treasurer has requested salary increases for her staff. On top of those, I do want to mention there were various salary actions that were included that have been pulled out of the draft. I think they were all at 5% between the common police clerk, all of juvenile and probate, and the public defender. So now those were all salary staff related. Now we're going to other expenses. The Board of Elections, we've added $300,000 of additional expenses for purchase services, and they still would like more on top of that. The common police clerk is looking for some more e-filing supplies and to do outreach. Department of Public Safety, on top of the contractual increases that have already been included, they would like some additional various increases. Facilities is looking for an increase for gas and electric. Juvenile court for assigned counsel, psych evaluations, interpreters. Juvenile detention had some various expenses. Probate court, assigned counsel, OSU extension, they would like an increase in their general fund contribution. The sheriff is looking to, they had purchased some public record software out of their own funds this year to trial it out. They like it. They now would request that it's being funded by general fund. And Soil and Water Conservation District would like an increase in their general fund contribution as well. So now this is the general fund cash. So the estimated year-end cash balance is obviously $54 million. We have, where we're at today is $58 million. The estimated revenue for the remainder of November, December is about $8 million. With expenses, we still have 3.5 payrolls to go. I'm sorry, 3 payrolls. I don't know where I said half from. Is about $11.5 million. So when you add in the estimates for next year and right now the draft appropriation, that gets our 26 year imbalance to be just about $55 million. The county does keep a reserve balance at 35% of operating expenses. So currently that's $30.5 million. So that leaves the unrestricted 26 fund balance of $24.6 million. With that being said, so anything additional that's funded, approved salary actions above the $1.4 million would result in a draw on this $24 million. Keep this in mind when we get to capital. We'll get back to that. This is a healthy general fund balance. So now we're going to touch base on these other non-general fund. We're going to do it by area, so I don't have to actually specifically talk about all 98 funds.
Emily, just for a second, go back and talk about, especially since Tom is here, this estimated unrestricted 2026 fund balance. When we're at the year funding end at $55 million, someone here is going to take a look at that and say, well, they should fund all my things because they still have $24 million left. So let's just offset that right now and tell where is that money committed to where it wouldn't be available for that.
Well, today it's not committed.
Mhm.
35%, the 30 million is the policy to keep, in the bank account.
Correct.
With what's going on out there with the property taxes, that's what that would be there.
And that would be fair to say that this number has not been impeded at all or recalculated based on any property tax changes that are happening in the legislation right now.
Since nothing has been approved, everything is equal.
And one of those property tax changes is if they pass it, will result in a mid-year change to property taxes.
Right.
And we'll throw the treasurer in a tizzy because they're going to have to recalculate escrow and all kinds of stuff. But since you went back on the front pages there and talked about property tax, and it was the second largest revenue that the county gets, again, that will have to be recalculated based on whatever provision that they come up with.
And just that property tax number also is a little deflated because the homestead rollback is not included in that because that's actually intergovernmental because it comes from the state. So that property tax has another like 1.6 million on top of that.
And if I can, just for a second, just for the folks who are here, there's obviously a wave here within the state of Ohio that there is a provision that you can double the homestead credit. Within Clermont County, some counties have done that. Some counties have been reluctant to do that because they haven't seen what the overall process looks like that the state is going to enact here when it comes to property tax. And I have to just throw out a little piece here. When they enacted the Homestead Act, and that became a provision, that was in 2013. In 2013, there was no requirement on the Homestead Act for you to have a low income requirement. In other words, if you were 65 years old and you filled out an application, you got a homestead reduction. No provision that they have asked for here has impacted that requirement. All the new requirements after 14 say that you have to meet a particular wage earning restriction that says if you make over a certain amount, then you don't get a homestead tax. But anything that the commissioners would do today to double the homestead exemption doubles all of the residents' properties that were put into homestead back in 13, regardless of what their income is. So, there's a portion there that says the legislation really should just address the people who are living on a fixed income that are living in their own homes so that it doesn't tax them out of the home. Unfortunately, for you to be able to do that, you have to do it for everyone. And so therein lies why many counties are taking a look at that, before they really jump in there and do it. So we're one of those counties. So if you wonder, we've had a few calls at the office of people, are you going to double homestead? So
And
just
also,
want to make sure.
currently the homestead rollback is reimbursed by the state. This possible change to double it would not be reimbursed. So
That is
that'd
correct.
just be the county would be taking the $1.6 million cut in revenue.
So your legislation, and I'll just say it, like it is doing everything that they can to take the burden off the state and to place it on the local government so that you, the residents, have to pay for it. And that's one of the things that as commissioners, we're pushing back on hard because the state has the means to be able to do that, but they do not want to commit the funds. So keep in mind, everything we've talked about on the general fund here, if we do that, those funds will be taken out of that general fund. So just want to make sure you're aware.
So Commissioner, when you look at the cash balance with the excess reserve at $24 million, if we start budgeting over what our revenue is, at $2 million after 12 years, we will no longer have that. But anything above and beyond, you just pull. And when you do operating expenses, they don't go away. So without cutting staff, which the county did not do during COVID at all either, without cutting staff, we could not get back into balance.
But keep in mind that The management of every large organization, 80%, something less than 80% is spent on salaries and benefits. And one of the things that a lot of people come in and say, if we do this, we can save this money. And my response to that is always, who goes home? They say, well, what do you mean who goes home? If we do this, we save money. I'm like, well, we spend 80% on salaries and benefits. The only place you can find $24 million is in salaries and benefits. That's where it comes from. So we're doing everything that we can to keep from having to right size to get within the revenue that we collect. So those are all good comments. Thanks, Emily.
Okay, now to the other funds. So Health and Human Services. So just remember, this is all non-general fund. You'll hear me mention some departments that were in general fund, but this would be their fund outside of the general fund. So first, we have Department of Job and Family Services. This includes the public assistance, the children's services, which did request an increase this year due to their high placement costs. It has child support work and workforce development in there. The Juvenile Children's Services, it supports placement costs for delinquent and unruly youth that's in the court's custodies. Family and Children First, they requested a decrease. They are getting more in line with their actual expenses. Developmental Disabilities is projecting a slight increase. Mental Health, they have an increase for next year. Senior Services, this is 100% of the levy funds that comes in the county. Currently, we have a contract with the Senior Services that we send them 100% of all the funds that goes out between that and the transportation piece of it. Let's see where we're at. Animal Control. So the auditor has a slight piece in this of the expenses that's for their license sales. And then this is also the shelter, with the budget to run the shelter that the county is now over. Like I said before, there is a slight decrease. It is due to changing the staffing level and getting it to really working where it needs to be now that the kennel administrator is in place and they are running smooth. Juvenile 4E has a reduction from changes being made, not being able to pay staff out of this as much as they used to be. We have domestic violence monies that are required to provide, to fund a shelter for victims of domestic violence. And then in the miscellaneous is the septic rehab, which doesn't have any appropriations this year. And then the other part is the One Ohio opioid settlement money. The board has previously, this year, they committed funding some of the operations, Mental Health and Recovery Board's crisis center that they are getting ready to start. However, most likely it's not going to need any funding until 2027. Administration is recommending funding $275,000 for CASC and the jail's MAT nurse that was funded in 2025 when they added an additional MAT nurse to their staffing program. So environmental and water resources. So water resource operations, this number always looks skewed because they have to include transfers from water and wastewater to their combined services, and it inflates the category about $6.2 million. Then they also move money over to their construction funds, which is $11.6 million. So if you back those two out, their actual water resources operations budget is $24 million. So then the construction, that varies based on their 5-year capital improvement plan and timing of projects. So solid waste, there is no budget in there anymore. Their employees are no longer under the Board of County Commissioners, but are directly under the Adams Clermont Solid Waste District Board. So we are no longer preparing their budget. Soil and water conservation, they have $2.5 million in their plan for their Lower East Fork project next year. And then stormwater, that varies based on the plan projects. So general government, this excludes the general fund and this excludes the capital funds. So these liability funds, these are there just in case we need to have a large vacation or sick payout and the general fund can't support it. The auditors, there's an overall decrease, mostly from the real estate assessment fund of $500,000. They have the hotel lodging tax fund that's holding flat, and that's just passed through to the Convention Bureau. The title administration fund through the Clerk of Common Pleas Court includes a surplus transfer every year of $500,000 to the general fund operating budget. This increase, they do have an increase that includes $150,000 for salary increases and supplies. The prosecutor and treasurer DTAC, those two funds are there to help with the collection of delinquent property taxes. In the past, they would need an advance at the beginning of the year before tax settlement came through. There was a large collection in 24 and the advance is no longer needed. Recorder's Technology Fund, they use that obviously to buy any computers or servers that they need. And the Board of Elections does not have any outstanding special election and grant funds that we know of right now. COVID and ARPA funds, those had to be fully encumbered by the end of 24. You will see in 25 that expenses were paid out, but we're looking at the appropriation, which everything would already been appropriated at the end of 24. So now we're getting into the capital. When you look at this, the 23 and 24 actual payments that went out, the 25 and 26 are budget numbers. So right now, in 2025, we have just over $29 million in capital projects that are what I'm calling rolled forward to next year. The largest portion of this is Filiger Phase 2 and 3, as well as there's the board recently approved the microwave backhaul system for the 911 towers for $6 million. So that will not go under contract till next year as well. Then there are additional 26 projects that are already in the plan for just over $2 million. Now, I want to say that this number will most likely go up. Administration has not had the time yet to review all 26 requests for capital projects. So once that gets done, which should be before the meeting on December 1st, I will have an update on this number.
Commissioners, there's an additional close to $10 million in requests that we haven't gone through yet. So if you look at that number at 31 million, depending on what's approved or a recommendation for approval, that could rise substantially.
And just for people who are in attendance, just in general, give the definition of what a capital project is.
It'll be new construction. It'll be HVAC units. It could be as little as painting rooms. It's remodels. It's generators. It's our towers, roof repairs. Yeah, just any large maintenance items or new construction vehicles for our buildings.
And somebody's going to say that's a lot of money. You know, why is so much of that needed? And how many buildings are Clermont County? And basically, of those buildings, 41 of the buildings are occupied every day. And so then you put.
Yeah. And even if you projected several years ago what these costs could have been for 2026 or 2027, some of our HVAC unit projects, they've doubled and tripled in cost. So even if we had something in for $500,000 3 or 4 years ago, they're now running up to $2 million for some of those projects. So when you talked about that $24 million a few slides prior, you're going to see on the next slide where a lot of that money needs to go. So.
And most of those annual maintenance improvements, that $5 million are rolled over. A big chunk of that money are HVACs that I think are right now the architect, consultant are putting the bid specs. They're getting ready to go out to bid, but the contract won't be awarded till next year. Yeah, so. Go on with that. So now with this is where the cash comes into play. Now, the appropriation of the $31 million does not necessarily mean the cash of $31 million will go out, but we have to, whenever you put something under contract, for instance, if you do a $10 million building contract, even though you don't spend the money, but over a couple of years, we have to get a purchase order for the full amount of that contract. So we have to budget the whole entire project. So when we look at the capital cash, it's apparent that it's showing negative $10.7 million right now. Well, we cannot have that. We cannot approve a budget that has appropriations that surpass the unobligated cash balance. So that is where we will either have to contribute from the general fund surplus balance or cut back the appropriations $11 million. Keep in mind also the facility master plan has still not come completely with all the results yet. There are things in the capital plan, I'm sure, that crossover, such as, maybe some HVACs that need to be done that are in the process of being done. But the current capital plan has 0 buildings outside of Filiger Phase 2 and 3 in it. And that still puts us at a negative $10.7 million. Okay, internal services. These are services within the county to fund. So let us go through them and explain them. So we have the health insurance fund. It covers the county's health plans and it is funded with charges by each department as well as employees. The reason why it looks like there is an increase is because in the very end of 24, when we finished being self-funded and then moving to 25, the general fund loan, the health insurance fund, $1.1 million, and that can now be paid back in 2026, at the beginning of 26. Fleet maintenance is somewhat rather flat. They are still taking a $65,000 general fund contribution in 2026. Telecommunications, TTD, this covers the telephone system that's in place for the county offices, which they just implemented the new Teams phones, and TTD covered the complete cost of that, did not pass that on to the departments. And then the workman's comp fund, we took a slight reduction this year. The bill just came in for the premiums, and so we're kind of budgeting more accurately to what those premiums are going to be. Hopefully stay. Transportation. So the engineer, they have the MV&G fund that has estimated $8 million on road projects in it, including resurfacing, and $6.8 million in bridge projects, as well as $1 million of TID funding. And then CTC, they have $1.2 million in there for capital purchase of buses, park and ride shelter repairs, maintenance, and a planning study for next year. And then the improvement districts, that's the RIDS, and this is just paying the school districts and the TID commitment out of those. So the criminal justice non-general fund, juvenile, this includes reclaim, which continues to decrease. Title, what is it? Is it 1D? 4D?
40.
Provides some funding for teachers in the detention facilities that funds from the schools. So the sheriff, this is where the sheriff contract fund is at. I was discussing that earlier about the general fund contribution to it. So right now the contract fund, it is appropriated at $2.8 million in 2026. The deputies have gone from 18 to 20 of them with cost sharing between the schools in the county and townships. So there's 5 resource officers in school right now and 5 shared funding of township village deputies. And the Batavia Township has 8 deputies. Franklin Township and Felicity share a deputy, and the Family Support Center at DJFS has gone from 1 to 3 contract deputies. They also have the concealed carry in here, narcotics unit. Then they have some other small funds that do not have a lot of revenue, but they do appropriate just very little bit amount to use it.
Emily, talk about the sheriff contract fund. I believe my understanding is that the first sheriff in each one of those contracts was a 50-50 agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct. School
And
resource
then
officers.
after
now, take
that-
DJFS out of this.
Yeah.
Between the townships, village, school resource officers is 50-50.
Okay, so right now, if a township has 5 officers, one of those officers is a 50-50 between us and the county.
Yep, the township pays half of it, the officer as well as their vehicle. The county general fund contributes the other half of that officer's salary as well as half the cost of that vehicle.
And many of those particular townships have a levy for protective services. Some do, some don't.
I can't speak on that.
Okay.
Complete knowledge, sorry.
But that program was really started so that when each township, if they wanted a deputy, could get one deputy with a 50-50 match. But now we're many, many years down the road with that. And so I understand that's is that about a $350,000 proposition?
$740,000 of general fund contribution right now.
So that's something that we could take a look at. Is that really necessary anymore? And can the townships take that on? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. What's left is the common pleas and municipal court probations. Those are just various grant fundings that they have to enhance probation beyond the general fund budgets. So judicial service, the law library, its funding comes mostly from traffic court fines. Let's see, the municipal clerk, they have a computerization fund that helps with costs related to the case management system. Prosecutor's Advocate Fund, Stephanie Ross was up here talking about that today. Several years ago, there were grant reductions from the state, which did shift some costs into the general fund, but this grant has been held flat for the past several years. Juvenile court, victims of crime assistance. They utilize federal monies from the Attorney General's office. They have computer funds to support the case management system, special project funds. Then as well, common pleas and probate court, they also have case management programs, the funds to help support those. Common pleas, they have a special project which pays a portion of staff at the court. And then domestic special project fund, they have a part-time bailiff that they pay from there, as well as implementing co-parenting classes from that fund. Almost there. So economic development. This investment is the planning and development fund for development throughout the county. Let's see, CDBG, they have been prioritizing projects, and this has continued to increase over the past several years. Home funds, this was a new allocation in 2024. We didn't pay any expenses out till 25, and then the 26 allocation is been funds committed to the Veterans Village. Debt, there's still special assessment debts out there. There was a Stone Lake Olive Branch special assessment bond that was paid off in 2023. We have the public safety, EMA 25. They did have a full scale exercise, which won't be, I don't think is a full scale in 26. So that is why there's a slight reduction. Then we have FEMA, which I will say I have a mistake on here. We do need to get appropriation in there for this FEMA fund. I don't think they are getting it fully spent in 25, so we'll need to add some appropriation for 26. And then as well as the general fund advance them some money because their grant was reimbursed basis. So they have to have the money to pay the expenses and then they'll get reimbursed. And then the wireless revenues, that actually has increased some due to that increased wireless fee that was added to the cell phones. And out of that, there's some expenses paid, and then 15% of 4 Department of Public Safety supervisors are paid out of that fund as well. All right, so now this is the program summary for all the non-general funds, just a recap. So this is showing the total of all funds outside the county's general fund. So for 26, it is $274 million of non-general fund appropriations. And this is just our final last summary page. I want to go ahead and look at the change in fund balances is what we're looking at. So when we look at, of course, the general fund right now, it's showing a $1.4 million growth, and that is before we add salary actions or any of those other request expenses on there. The largest funds are the special revenue funds, and those monies are restricted for their specific purpose, whether it's grant, levies, legislation such as like real estate assessment, the Children's Services Fund, public assistance, things like that. Right now, capital is showing a $23 million draw, which can't happen because there's not that much cash in there. We'll have to make an adjustment for that. Enterprise funds, those are mostly water resources, and the draw is due to the capital projects. Outside agencies like DD, there's a draw there. And internal services, really that $1 million is paying back the general fund for the health insurance loan that they took last year. And that is the end.
So the recap on that is that projected revenues are 319 million. The draft appropriations that have been asked for are 364. And if we did them all, we'd be $44 million in the hole.
Actually, this is saying we are taking a $44 million draw on the funds now.
Correct.
This is not, that is the draft appropriation. That is not including the requests that are not in here.
Correct.
So, and if you look, I mean, the major draw is the capital project, which we have to change that, which there is cash sitting in there to draw some on, but not $23 million. And then the enterprise fund, but that is why Water Resources builds up they build up their funds to be able to pay for the construction. And remember.
And just keep in mind, we will operate on a balanced budget.
Yes.
And that's just how it is.
You can't, there's no problem with taking a draw. You just have to have cash there. So remember, this is not just general fund. There are planned draws on funds, such as capital, such as enterprise funds.
Right.
And this is budgetary. That's the one thing that kind of throws people off. Like I said before, we have to, even with water resource construction, they can have a $10 million project. They have to get the PO in December of 25 for $10 million, but they're not paying that in 25.
Right. Good job.
Okay.
Any other questions? No?
Okay.
And I'll just say, any questions there with you? All right. Well, thanks, Emily. Thank you. And we'll get to see you 2 more times.
Oh, yeah. They'll be much shorter
There we
than
go.
this sometimes. You know, I know.
There we go.
Thank you, Emma.
With that, any additions to the agenda?
No, I think we still do have an update for SNAP benefits, I think.
Okay.
She's here waiting. So
Patiently.
patiently waiting.
Dottie, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Commissioners, again, Dottie Meier from the Department of Job and Family Services. Besides me is Paige Sheridan. She is the head of our OMJ department. We're here with just a update in regards to the SNAP. We've made several presentations to the commissioners to keep you updated in regards to what has happened since the government shutdown and also the non-funding of the SNAP program earlier this month. We are happy to report that with the government reopening and with the steps that have been taken thus far, that the majority of the individuals in our county have received at least partial funding for November benefits. Some have received all, but the plan moving forward is that the rest of them will, as the month goes on, will receive the rest of their benefits. And it is hopeful that in December, as of the 1st, that it's going to be fully funded for December. That is where we stand as far as that. The next step, though, is that because of the lack of funding at the beginning of the month, because of the individuals who did not receive any money uploaded into their account, there was some pantries saw an increase of 177% on their resources. Others saw an increase of over 300% of their resources. So there's still a need at this time in regards to replenishing those resources at this various food pantries locally. We still continue to keep that information up on the website for the county. We appreciate that, commissioners. And also we've kept that information up on our website as well to be able to help individuals and services. I'm going to allow Paige now to update you on our coalition that we've had, that we developed as a result of the crisis that occurred, and where we're going forward in regards to that coalition. Paige.
Thank you. So for the duration of the shutdown, we were meeting weekly with local representatives from food pantries to coordinate logistics in terms of collecting food, getting food to them so they can continue to support the community. We are now going to meet monthly for December and for January to see how things progress and get through the holidays. And then after that, we are going to meet quarterly so that we continue to support our food pantry partners, and that if, God forbid, anything like this should happen again, we have a network already prepared and a plan in place for which to meet the need proactively.
And thank you, Pam, for being part of it and working together with everyone.
We've had such a huge outpouring of support from county employees like Pam, like Ursula, like Wade, along with our food pantry partners. And again, thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to take this on. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from the community and from the food pantries that we've partnered with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting, too.
Board, the only last piece to our agenda today before we go into executive session. Mr. Day, I'm gonna open the board right here so that, commissioners, if they would like to talk to you. Obviously, we have Prosecutor Takalbi right here in the room, and we'll talk about the issues that you're having. I would tell you, just as, as sitting at this dais this morning, this is a tough situation for us because we really don't have evidence from our particular department to pursue a violation of some kind of permit. And I think you've kind of stated that. You have stated that a particular property owner has damaged your property, and the board doesn't get into, private lawsuits. I can't give you law advice. I'm not allowed to do that, but I think what that means. If someone, when it comes to county property, does something that damages our property, we have every right to do that. But in this particular case where someone has damaged your property, that's pretty much their responsibility and yours. So, Prosecutor Takalbi, any words of advice?
Thank you. I know I've never met Mr. Day before. I know that Joe Mooney and
Yes.
Jason Calvin of my office in the Civil Division met with Mr. Day, I believe, at the building department, and went through, obviously we represent the building department, we cannot give guidance to Mr. Day. I know they met with him probably 2 or 3 months ago. I'm happy to have Mr. Mooney and Ms. Ross arrange a meeting. I'm happy to listen to him, but I want to let him know I can't give him any information that's contrary to what my client indicates on the facts.
And Mr. McClintock, didn't we set it up immediately after when our last one of our sessions, and immediately had him go across the hall and talk to you? Could you give us an update on that, please, as to what happened? So that so you can explain the action that was taken at that time.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Chris
Yeah.
McClintock, Community and Economic Development Director for the county. Yeah, if I recall, I was in that meeting, and I believe Mr. Wilson, our chief building official, and Mr. Mooney and Mr. Fountain were also in that meeting. And it was explained that there were no violations that were found by the building department. And therefore, as our client, as us being the client to the prosecutor's office, there was nothing that the prosecutor's office could offer to Mr. Day as well as far as legal remedy. So that's kind of where we stand, and that's kind of where we had left it at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Dickey. Come on up to the podium.
In that meeting we had, it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, roughly. Yourself and the 2 assistant prosecutors were in there, and Heath Wilson stated that Greg Nichols did indeed have a WMSC permit. Do you agree that he said that?
Maybe. Probably. I can't recall for sure.
And my whole contention is he didn't get a WMSC permit, and the rules say, your own rules say, that the building department enforces that. Not me, not going to civil court. The building department enforces that. And I was sent 2 letters by the previous head of the building department that he was in violation, and if he didn't fix those violations with a prescribed period of time, it would be turned over to the prosecutor's office. A second notice was sent out. If you don't do this in the prescribed amount of time, it will be turned over to the prosecutor's office. And then everything fell apart when the administration changed over at the building department. And my question is it true, based on what's said in your own doctrine, that the building department enforces the WMSC permit? Is that true?
It is true. Sure.
And it's not on me to do the enforcement. It's on the building department. And as I came here last month, or the last time I spoke here, after Heath Wilson stated that he had a permit in place, and when I went to get a records request, as I stated in my letter, he said, I just made a misspeak, because he made up the permit the day after Heath Wilson said he had a permit. He made a permit up the next day when I made my records request, and you took a copy of that permit.
Here's what I'll tell you. We'll conclude the conversation, right now, but I just want you to know something, that you're looking for the permit department to have not acted in your best interest. Is that exactly what it is? Is that close?
Kind of, but what they're saying that he does have a permit now, but what does that mean?
Well,
he was supposed to have a permit for doing the work that he did.
Well, let me just put that in perspective. If that's the path forward that you're going, the exact department that you've talked to is represented by the prosecutor's office.
Mm-hmm.
He can only represent them. He can't represent you. So I wanted to make sure that you can continue to come here and we'll have these kind of discussions, but I've done everything I could. This board has done everything that they could. Your damage has been caused by another property owner. So we're just going to leave it at that. Thanks. Thanks for coming today. Any other conversations? Then I will Asked to go into executive session in accordance with section 121.22G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment or compensation of a public employee or more public employees. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you. We have returned from executive session. There were no decisions made and no actions taken. We will move on with our regular agenda. We had already talked about SNAP benefits with Dorothy Meier for staff elected official discussions. Any other staff elected officials?
No, sir.
Okay. How about member comments? Board member comments? Any comments today? Pretty effective meeting. Got to learn all about the budgetary process and, walk through that. Emily did a really nice job. I
Great
think
job.
people who were in attendance, we're trying to get those directors and, those people that want to support their budget into the commissioner's room, at one of these meetings so they can justify, what they need that they believe is essential to their operations. So, we're trying to be open and encouraging when it comes to that, because the budgetary process always confuses people because they think they put in all their wants and then we don't entertain any of them. We want to make sure that if they want to have a discussion about those, they can have it right here, at the dais. As you can see, we don't have a whole lot of money to talk about, but we'll do whatever we can with what we've got. Things have definitely changed on the horizon when it comes to revenue here in Clermont County. Taxes are being looked at. Those are out of our control. Obviously, commissioners are an extension of the legislative arm. And if the legislative branch changes the requirements of how taxes are collected and what those amounts are, we have to follow suit.
A lot of our capital projects, like I said, they're just all the costs are increasing.
Yep. So we're just going to have to tell the contractors to take less money. That's all. I mean, they're going to have to help us out. Anything else, members?
Yep.
All right, then I would ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second.
It's been moved and it has been second. All those in favor? Oh, well, roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, you know how that bleeds in from other meetings where you can
Yes.
just say, all those in favor, aye, Well, thank you. Thanks for being here on this a kind of cloudy day and, November the 19th as we're moving into next week and getting close to Thanksgiving. So
You're looking forward to that turkey, aren't
I am, no question about that, Don't get to eat much turkey. It always seems to be great. So if you don't have anywhere, you can always come to the Painter's household after I get done over at Commissioner Corcoran's and over at Commissioner Batchelor's. So thanks for being here today, and we'll see you next week.